When someone humiliates you in front of everyone, do this. Don't skip. Have you ever found yourself in a moment where someone publicly humiliates you? Maybe it was a sarcastic remark in front of others, an offhanded joke meant to undermine you, or an outright attempt to embarrass you. In those moments, you feel the weight of a dozen eyes watching, waiting to see how you react. Do you snap back, laugh it off, or sink into silence, hoping it blows over? It's a tough situation, one that can either damage your reputation or elevate the respect people have for you. The key is knowing how to respond in a way that doesn't just maintain your dignity, but actually increases your authority and command over the room. The good news? You have more control over these situations than you might think. Today, we're diving deep into the strategies and psychological techniques rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy that will not only help you navigate these difficult moments, but also ensure that people respect you immediately. Stick around, because we're about to explore exactly how to respond intelligently, turning these uncomfortable encounters into powerful moments of self-respect and influence. Why do these situations happen? Before we get into the techniques, it's important to understand why you might find yourself in these situations in the first place. In many cases, it's not because people hate you or have a personal grudge. Often, it's a power play, an attempt to elevate themselves at your expense. Some people think making you look weak or uncomfortable makes them appear stronger or more dominant. You see this behavior everywhere, in workplaces, in social circles, even within families. It's an opportunistic way to climb the social ladder at your expense. But here's where Stoicism comes in. You can't control how people behave, but you can control how you react. And that reaction determines whether people see you as weak or as someone who commands respect effortlessly. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In these moments, your calmness and confidence are your greatest weapons. Respect isn't demanded, it's inspired. It's about how you carry yourself, how you set boundaries, and how you refuse to be used as someone else's stepping stone. So, let's break down exactly how to apply Stoic wisdom in real life. These strategies are simple, yet incredibly powerful. They will help you stand your ground, regain control, and ensure that people respect you immediately. 1. First impressions matter more than you think. The way you present yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. And interestingly, it's often less about what you say and more about how you say it. Your body language, presence, and composure all play a huge role in how people perceive you. Picture this. You're at a networking event. Someone walks up to you and extends their hand for a greeting. Instead of standing up, you remain seated, barely glancing at them as you shake their hand. What does that signal? Whether you realize it or not, you've just communicated that the interaction isn't important to you. Now, let's flip the scenario. You see the same person approaching. This time, you rise to greet them, maintain eye contact, and shake their hand with confidence. The difference? You've just established yourself as someone who respects themselves and commands respect in return. The Stoics understood this deeply. Small actions like standing up and maintaining eye contact aren't just good manners. They're powerful expressions of confidence and self-worth. I once attended a business seminar where two people stood out. One always stood up to greet people, whether it was a CEO or a waiter refilling his drink. He made eye contact, engaged fully, and exuded quiet confidence. People naturally respected him. The other person remained seated for every introduction. It wasn't intentional, just a habit, but it created an unspoken barrier. He was just as capable, but people unconsciously took him less seriously. The lesson? Standing up isn't just about politeness. It's a way of declaring your value and acknowledging others, a principle that aligns perfectly with Stoic philosophy. 2. When someone interrupts you, do this. Being interrupted in a conversation, especially in public, can be frustrating. You're making a point, and someone suddenly cuts you off, derailing your train of thought. The knee-jerk reaction for most people is to either snap back or retreat into silence. But neither of those responses helps you command respect. So what should you do instead? This is where Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson. True strength isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. Instead of reacting emotionally, try this. When someone interrupts you, simply stop speaking. Fix them with a steady, calm gaze. Say nothing. Let the silence do the work. This subtle but powerful technique accomplishes two things. It makes the interrupter realize their mistake without you having to say a word. It signals to everyone else that you are composed and in control of the conversation. I was once at a family gathering, sharing a story when a relative interrupted me mid-sentence. Instead of arguing, I paused, turned to them, and just looked at them. A few seconds of silence felt like an eternity. They quickly realized their mistake and gestured for me to continue. The best part? I didn't have to raise my voice or get defensive. I simply let my presence and self-control do the talking. This works exceptionally well in public or professional settings. When people see you handling interruptions with grace and quiet authority, they naturally respect you more. A key Stoic principle is that your emotions should never be dictated by someone else's actions. Instead of reacting impulsively, use silence, body language, and controlled speech to assert yourself. The key takeaway: don't compete for dominance in conversations. Instead, maintain composure, reclaim your space, and let others adjust their behavior accordingly. Third tip: jokes and humiliation. When someone tries to humiliate you with a joke in front of others, the way you respond will determine the entire dynamic of the situation. Your instinct might be to fire back, to defend yourself, or even to laugh along to avoid discomfort. But this is where control, true, unwavering composure, becomes your greatest weapon. When someone seeks to diminish you with humor, they are testing the waters, seeing if they can frame the social dynamic in a way that places them above you. Your job is not to react emotionally, but to turn the situation on its head. Imagine you're at a gathering, surrounded by familiar faces, when someone suddenly brings up a past failure or an embarrassing moment from years ago. Laughter erupts around you, and in that split second, all eyes are on you, waiting to see how you'll react. Do you shrink? Do you retaliate? Or do you take control in a way that commands respect? This is where a simple yet powerful tactic comes into play. Instead of reacting with visible anger or embarrassment, pause. Take a breath. Then, in the calmest tone possible, ask them to repeat what they just said. Not with sarcasm, not with aggression, just genuine curiosity. Here's the brilliance of this move. When someone is forced to repeat a joke meant to humiliate you, the impact diminishes almost instantly. The rhythm of the moment is broken, the laughter falters, and the person attempting to mock you suddenly finds themselves in an awkward position. Now, instead of riding the momentum of the joke, they are stuck explaining themselves. The room starts to sense the shift. The balance of power tilts in your favor. There's a deep psychological effect at play here. The moment you demonstrate that you are unshaken, that their words do not have the power to rattle you, you shift the perception of everyone in the room. Instead of being seen as the target, you are now seen as someone who cannot be easily provoked. And nothing commands more respect than unbreakable composure. This is a lesson deeply embedded in Stoic philosophy. What does not harm your essence is not worthy of your concern. The key is to remember that words, jokes, and social jabs only have the power you give them. By refusing to let someone dictate your emotional state, you take control of the narrative. More importantly, you expose their attempt at mockery for what it truly is, an act of insecurity, a weak attempt at establishing dominance. So the next time someone tries to humiliate you with a joke in front of others, take a breath, stay calm, and ask them to repeat it. Watch how quickly the moment changes. Watch how respect follows in the silence. This is how you assert dominance, not through aggression, but through complete, unwavering self-control. Fourth tip: a question in response. When someone tries to provoke you, they are looking for a reaction, something they can control, something they can escalate. What if, instead of giving them what they want, you completely shift the energy of the situation? What if, instead of engaging in their game, you change the rules entirely? This is where the power of an unexpected, unrelated question comes into play. Picture this. You're in a conversation, maybe at a workplace meeting or a social event, and someone suddenly throws a passive-aggressive jab at you. Maybe they make a snide comment about your job, your past mistakes, or your choices in life. It's subtle, but deliberate. It's meant to make you feel small. The room goes quiet for a moment, waiting to see your reaction. Do you defend yourself? Do you counterattack? Instead, you calmly shift the conversation in a completely different direction. For example, imagine someone mocks your recent career setback in front of a group. Instead of taking the bait, you smile slightly and say, "Hey, by the way, does anyone know a good coffee shop nearby? I've been looking for a new place to work." The entire room is caught off guard. The person who tried to provoke you is left hanging, their attempt at stirring conflict completely diffused. And just like that, you have taken back control. This move works on multiple levels. First, it demonstrates that you are unfazed, that their words do not hold any weight against you. Second, it forces the conversation away from negativity and into neutral territory. And third, it subtly isolates the provocateur, making their attempt seem petty and childish. This approach aligns perfectly with the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control. You cannot control what others say, but you can control how you respond. By choosing not to engage in negativity, you send a clear message. You are someone who rises above petty drama. You are someone who commands respect, not through aggression, but through mastery over your own reactions. The beauty of this technique is that it removes all avenues for escalation. If you argue, they win. If you get defensive, they win. But if you redirect the conversation entirely, they are left powerless. And when people see you handle conflict with such effortless composure, their respect for you grows. So the next time someone tries to get under your skin, don't engage. Instead, throw out an unexpected, unrelated question. Watch how quickly the situation changes. Watch how the respect you command increases tenfold. Fifth tip: walking away. There comes a moment when the most powerful thing you can do is leave. To remove yourself from situations, relationships, or environments where your respect is not valued. Walking away is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. Have you ever been in a place where you felt unappreciated, where no matter what you did, your efforts were ignored or mocked? Maybe it's a workplace where your contributions are overlooked. Maybe it's a friendship where your value is never acknowledged. Maybe it's a relationship where you are constantly taken for granted. The truth is, staying in such an environment chips away at your self-worth. And the longer you stay, the more power you give to those who do not respect you. Consider this. A woman named Sarah worked tirelessly in a company where her boss constantly belittled her. She was interrupted in meetings, dismissed when she spoke, and ridiculed in front of colleagues. At first, she thought if she worked harder, she would earn respect, but then she realized respect is not something you earn from those unwilling to give it. One day, after another public dismissal of her ideas, she calmly closed her laptop, stood up, and walked out. She left, not in anger, but with quiet conviction, and within months she found a position at a company where she was not only respected but celebrated. Walking away is a declaration. I know my worth. It tells the world that you will not tolerate disrespect. It tells people that if they do not value you, they will lose you, and nothing commands respect more than the willingness to remove yourself from places that diminish you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot make people respect you, but you can refuse to stay where respect is absent. So when you find yourself in a situation where your dignity is constantly being challenged, don't argue, don't beg, don't stay, walk away. And in your absence, let them realize the value they took for granted. That is how you command respect without saying a word. Final thoughts. The Stoic way to command respect. In life, you will encounter people who try to undermine you. Some do it subtly, others blatantly. But what truly matters is not what they do. It's how you respond. Respect isn't earned through aggression, arguments, or loud comebacks. It's earned through composure, self-respect, and an unwavering presence. Every small action, how you carry yourself, how you respond to challenges, how you handle interruptions, adds up to a larger picture. That picture tells the world, this is someone who deserves respect. So the next time someone tries to humiliate you in front of others, remember, your power lies in your reaction. Stand tall, stay calm, and let your actions speak louder than words.